mr.d-e back with another one. Yes, CEO of Dasourcess is here with y'all again. Today is something new. I ain't even got a complete name for it just yet, but I know I want to do this, and time is essence of us. So I want to make sure I help document my own family heritage, and I give my own family heritage. So today with me right now that y'all see is my grandfather, my granddad, Kenneth Knight. And a lot of people can't even, have this opportunity to even interview or even talk to their grandparents and get their story of who they is and why they are the way they are. So I'm just happy and blessed to say I can do this to you, Granddad.
It's an honor.
It's an honor for me as well. So I'm going to let you go ahead and introduce yourself for the camera so they can know who you is. And we're going to just get and go detailing of who we are and where we from and how you became who you is, even for me to be here today. Because without you, I wouldn't be here, Granddad.
All right. Thank the Lord for that. And one of the things I like to say when Darion brought this to my attention, he talked about heritage. And it's so important that we know who we are, where we came from. And the two things that is why that is so important. One is for knowing your people, because you stand to go ahead and continue on and repeat yourself sometimes. That's called generational. The other thing is genes, which is so important. Some of us don't know that because of genes, we end up having certain difficulties. If heart attacks run in your family, you stand to have a heart attack. If diabetes run in your family, you'll find out that somewhere down the line, that will continue on. So those are the important things. Generational and understanding the genes that you come from. And most importantly for me is to sit here and think about who we are. The earliest I can go back is to my great-grandma Hattie and my grandpa Bud.
And that's your mama, right?
No. My great-grandmother, Grandma Hattie May, and my great-granddaddy, Bud Watson. And when we said those things, I sat down one time and asked my grandma.
Wait, so that your mama?
Yes.
Grandma Hattie
Yeah, I'm
mama.
giving you the line that I can go back through. I sat down one day with great-grandma Hattie. She was about 90 at that time. And she said, I said, Grandma Hattie, we need a chance to know our heritage, who we are. And she went on ahead and just give you an idea, she was born in 1890. And then my grandmother was born in 20 years later, my grandma Bert. And then 20 years later, my mama was born. You in the camera, man. You in the camera. Recording. Okay. So
excuse that.
yeah, don't worry. So what I want to say is that we sat there and talked, and she told me she could go all the way back to her great-grandmother, and she couldn't go no further, her mother, who was named Darkest. And she said that was slavery. So that's how far we go back. So let me go ahead and tell you about great-grandma Hattie and grandma and Bud Watson, Buddy Watson, as we called him. He trained horse. He was a mule. He worked with mules. White folks loved him. This is in Mississippi, where we come from. That's our beginnings, Mississippi. He trained mules. And one time, he ended up, they loved him so much for what he could do, because he could break them. He did those things. However, one time, this white boy got drunk, and he acted up. And our great-granddaddy, he killed him. But he didn't go ahead. Normally, we're talking about Mississippi. He didn't go ahead and go to jail or anything else because they respected him enough, and this guy was so out of place.
The white man?
Yes.
My great grandfather.
Yes, whatever he is, that's what he did. So we wanted that to be clear. And nothing happened to him because, this guy was totally out of control and, whatever. And because of his work and expertise in training mules and breaking mules, as they called it, fine and good. Great-grandma Hattie, their time frame is, and it's so important that we understand this, lived on a farm. They worked hard. She had this big black kettle, and with this big black kettle, she had to clean for white folks. And they starch their white shirts and everything. When you hear the term a Sunday go to meet, they always had a meeting to something in order to work upon as far as, being clean. And that's why this is important about we need to know where we come from. Moving on, she had one child, Bert Anderson. Got Bert at that time. And Bert was my grandmother. Grandma Bert had one child, which was my mama, Hattie Mae. We can go ahead and say that, and Hattie Mae was the salutatorium of her class. And
what does that mean exactly?
Second best in the class.
Second
best in the class. And I need to say these things just at the fact that during this era, Grandma Hattie Mae, who you all are familiar with, actually she left Mississippi. At that time, when they talk about migrations, all these things was going on. I don't want to go ahead and take away from my grandma Bert because I need to make mention of her. She got married, came up to Chicago for a while, married Buddy Knight, and that's how we ended up becoming Knights or so. And, he worked at the railroads, and he was a good guy.
But he stayed.
No. This is my mama's father.
Your mama's father?
Yeah.
Oh, so Grandma Hattie Knight, her last name was Knight.
That's how we got to become Knights.
So she was never, okay, keep going.
Yeah, Buddy Knight was who Grandma Bert ended up marrying or so. But he kind of drank too much. Alcohol in the family. Okay, we want to just be clear. These things about genes, how things are hereditary. Grandma ended up leaving him, coming on back, and she married a guy called James Anderson, who we call Daddy James. James Anderson was the brother of 8 or 9 brothers and 2 sisters or so, and he was the oldest. And Daddy James, we called him a black Jew. Why do we call him a black Jew? Because he had a movie house, he sold cars, he went out there, had a bus, and he would transport people to the fields where he would make X amount of dollars from. And later on, as we was getting to be 10, 11, or a little younger, him and Grandma Bert opened up a store. Mama left and went to Chicago. And his mama was Hattie Mae was having babies. She ended up having, I was the first one born. And our father's name was Red. They called him Red. And I need to go ahead and say that I look exactly like my father. I don't claim white folks being in my family. That's one of the things I have to say. But
he don't.
Honestly,
my granddad, you see his complexion.
Yeah, I'm getting ready to explain how that happened. Right. My father, Willie Galtney was our father. They came from the hills somewhere around Vicksburg or so. Met my mom or so. My mom ended up saying that I was born. She had moved to Chicago during one of the migration periods when a lot of blacks were saying, we ain't staying down south no more. We're moving to the farm. We're moving into a new direction or so. And she went to Chicago. First, she ended up starting up her own store, and she had Philip Kelp. I was the first
store in Mississippi?
Huh? She left Mississippi.
No, it wasn't a store that's still in Mississippi?
Yeah, we had a store. Yeah, Grandma Bert, but Dre ended up one of my sisters. That's a different store, so that's not the one in Mississippi. My mama came to Chicago. She ended up getting. Everybody comes to Chicago during this time frame. What they did was to have. They knew people, a cousin. You met with a cousin or so, or an auntie, and that would mean that you lived with them till you was able to get yourself in some kind of order. And that's what happened. So when Mama came to Chicago after I was born, a little over a year later, she had her second child named Philip, Uncle Philip. And then she had another child, Kelvin. And what would happen was we stayed in Mississippi over the summertime. Well, as we got older, I want to say 5, 6, 7 years of age or so. We all stayed in Mississippi until we reached till we reached school age. Then Mama would take us.
So y'all was only there for till 5 or 6?
Yeah. Now I want to be clear. His Mama was having me and Philip and Kelvin. Grandma Bert and Grandma Hattie would just come to Chicago and take care of us. They would leave home, stay in Chicago long enough to nurse us or help Mama out while she went back to work or something. But Mama was having babies. So just get this in your head why we have so many babies or so. So we talking about 3 babies and within the 3-year span of each other or so. And we would stay in Mississippi once Mama, had nursed us or so. We would go back to Mississippi and stay till we reached school age. And I remember at 5 years.
So that's why you made us keep going back from Chicago and Mississippi all my life.
All the time, your whole life it had to go to Mississippi because that was.
I got a scar on my foot right now because I went to Mississippi and got ran over by that was a go-kart. You got ate up by ants. Keep telling the story. My story gonna come later.
Yeah. So we're just giving the background of family or so. So after the first, I remember at 6 years of age, we drove back to Chicago. I was 6 years of age, and I'm rushing to get back there, and I'm waving at Philip and Kelvin because I had to leave them, and it was sad.
You're the oldest brother, right?
I'm the oldest. I was the first one, and then the next year, Philip came on, and then after Philip came, Kelvin came. Then Regina ended up, great-grandma Hattie, she ended up getting older, and Grandpa Bud died in 1963. And so what happened was Mama left Regina down south because she thought that was the best thing for her to do, to let Gina stay with Grandma Hattie because she needed somebody that, she was worried because she was older.
She went her by herself and stay.
But it was a mistake.
It was a mistake.
It was a mistake. You never leave your children. You just don't. Much as Grandma buried, and I just have to say this, just in case for everybody, for future knowledge or so. It was a great idea, but Gina wasn't with us. And then Mama had Monica, who we called Worm at the time, because it took forever for her to go ahead and crawl.
Grandma.
Yeah, it took her forever to walk. And 5 children, that's what Mama had. She ended up with these 5 children that, along with the 5 of us, we
recording, Grandma.
Right there.
Right where you putting that at.
That's
all
right.
You can say, hey, Grandma. Go ahead and say, hey.
It's okay.
He gonna tell a story about Grandma.
Right.
My grandma, Marilla.
I'm sorry. Yeah. Okay. So we want to say that wasn't the best thing to do for Regina to stay in Mississippi. And, she had Grandma Bird and Grandma Hattie and Daddy James. But still, she lost something by her not being with us. So we would always go down there regardless. Everybody went down south. My mama's closest friend at that time, Margie Clay, who some of us, we grew up with them.
Hold on, wait, Granddad. I don't think they understand what you just said. You basically saying when you have kids and they got siblings, don't separate them.
Never separate.
Don't separate the kids.
Right.
That's what he meant for y'all to understand.
Never separate family. Family is so important in everything. And I'll get to why I know it's so important. After my granddaddy died, we came there, and every year, Margie or us, who was close to my mama, we always went for Christmas, or we went for New Year's, and down south, all black people pretty much who knew that during the summertime in the 60s, this is in the 60s, that you ended up going south because they'd be rioting in Chicago or New York, wherever you came from. So we always went down south. We left one day, get on the Greyhound bus. We left one day on the bus, one day after we got out of school, and we didn't come back until school getting ready to start about a day or two before we ended up going. Mm-hmm. And I want to say something, what I love about my mama. My mama, Hattie Mae, ain't no joke. And it's most of you all who know Hattie Mae.
Shout out Hattie Mae. My grandma was a real one.
Right. And she was. She sacrificed to put us in Catholic school at that time. Philip, Kelvin, me, and Monica all ended up in Catholic school. And the school was called Holy Angels. It was right across the street from where we lived in 602. $3 tuition and things like that. Mama was always proud of who she was. And I have to, I want to get back to my brothers, but this is who I was and how I know. When we went down south, we were taught respect. We were taught children to be seen and not heard. 70% comprehension. Okay, I didn't, I just, it was a free program at the school that I went at Holy Angels that we were there. What I didn't know was that they were going to go ahead and tape it. And I ended up being on all the news channels.
They taped you?
Yes, all Channel 2, Channel 5, Channel 7,
So I might
Channel
go
9.
search this up and I might still
I
find
hope
it.
you can. Well, anyway, what happened was I ended up having to read a brand new book. And I was like, I ain't going to make myself look stupid. So I ended up saying, oh, my God, here I go. They asked me something like a yes or no question. So that's 50% or so. And I told them, I said, like, I only got to page 73. You know, it wasn't like you really read these many words, but that's what he was advertising. And when I say this, he they asked me questions, so I did 50, 60, 70% or whatever it was. Got it right because it was simple questions, and some I just guessed on and got lucky. But they feel sorry for me that, oh, wow, yeah, he didn't know. That's why he didn't get to but about 70 pages. No, that's bullshit. I didn't do it because I just wasn't going to look stupid. That's the main thing I want to know about family. But the most important thing that happened then, this guy, Bob Ayers, I'll never forget him. He took us out. He took my mama and me out. We went to Yes Sir Senator Barney's or something like that. I had never had expensive steak, so I ordered the most expensive thing on the menu. That's who we are. If it's there, you might as well take advantage of it. So I got a filet of mignon and French fries and all of that. And I'm sitting up there enjoying myself, you know, with the most expensive thing on the menu and my mama there. And he got these white guys there with him and he's trying to sell his business. Don't get me wrong. He took me out and got me a brand new suit from head to toe, drawers, socks, everything.
At the Catholic school?
No, this was his program. He brought it to the Catholic school that I was at. So he brings me a suit all the way around. And what happened was, he was sitting there and saying, talking to all these white business leaders or business people. And what happened, he sat there and said, well, you know, my program really helped Kenneth to become what he is because of his reading. And my mama said something, the only black woman and just me there. She said, wait a minute. She said, your program ain't had nothing to do with who Kenneth Knight is. Kenneth Knight was already smart before your program. He's going to be smart after your program. And don't do that. Don't say that.
Don't try to take
credit for you. And when she said those words, that changed my whole life. That's when I knew I was somebody. It started dawning on me. Grandma Burt didn't take no shit. Grandma Hattie didn't take no shit. Daddy James, he was the boss of everything, Black Jew. It was a pride that we had in ourselves. And it wasn't just in me, it was in Uncle Philip, it was in Uncle Kelvin. All these things I want to sit back and say that changed my whole life about who and everything I was. And so, you know, I'm only going to share this one time. What I also found out, being light has advantages. But for me, it was a disadvantage. So let's just be
that's
clear.
what I really want you to talk about.
I really want to.
How was your life being? Complexion you was?
It's been a curse.
A curse and a blessing at the same time?
Yeah, I guess.
Because that's once you told me that, I ain't gonna lie, granddad, I looked at my life different, but I said I ain't gonna look at it just like my granddad, because if I look at it like that, I will knock so many opportunities out my that I don't know.
I didn't knock opportunities out. That's what I want to say. Let me be clear about a curse. I look just like my father. Okay, I just need to say that. They called him Red. When I was growing up in the projects in Madden Park homes, they called me Big Red. Okay, so let's just go ahead. Marilyn, if you want to come on by, go ahead, because I cooked down.
You go by. You need to walk by. You can say hey to the camera because you're going to be on here soon.
Yeah. So what happened about this? I know in second grade I had a chance to be in a production. Art, Mr. Rutherford, some other folks, Regina will know who that is. We did a production in second grade about, the birth of Jesus. Then I say that the rapid reading program. Then I can sit back and say that I got selected in the freshman year, in my 8th grade or first year of high school, to sit with the cardinal. And, I didn't think if I had my nice suit on that Mr. Ayers had got for me or something like that. But I ended up sitting at his table. And at that time, I didn't recognize. And I started saying to myself, then I got to high school. I went to Quigley South. 16 blacks graduated in 1972 with me or so. I won't forget those things. And it wasn't a lot of blacks. So I can say things because I've actually lived with them. But I also took into consideration as I got older that it's a shame. We as black people look to thinking that color, if you light, bright, damn near white, as they sit there and say sometimes. As I got older, I started finding out things. You got blue eyes. So white folks let me, they thought I was closer to them than somebody that was dark. And I remember growing up when Philip and Kelvin, the only thing I would beat their ass all the time. I ain't even tell no lie. I was the oldest, and being the oldest, when you're the oldest and everything, you run everything. So even, forgive me for going around, but I'll get back to this. But let me just say how this went. Philip would jump on Kelvin. Then I would go ahead and jump on Philip. And then I'd be whooping Philip's ass so bad that Kelvin would jump on me. Then I beat both their ass, and then they had to stay in the washroom and locked up till Mama came home. 5 minutes before Mama come out, tell them they could come out. I had established that I was in control of my house, or in that house or so. Now, we enjoyed playing ball. We did. We taped it, man.
Yeah, you can't keep doing that.
You can't keep going back.
Go the other way.
Can I get some water?
Go ahead.
Go. Come through the garage and let it down. So I want to say that, okay, that's how we did. And the one thing that Philip would get upset at me, and sometimes he called me, he said, "You white." Oh, man, that was the worst thing. I whoop his ass that much harder. I whoop his ass that much harder. You call me white. Don't you ever call me white. And I've always had that difficulty. And then we had a confrontation one time with Mama. Mama went on ahead. I said, he called me white. I was crying. Did you know that? And that's how my life has always been. Second grade, Mama beat me with a belt. I ran from her and she cut me with the belt buckle. And why the teacher sat back and said, that's like, look at Kenneth. That's how they beat Jesus so bad and everything. And so I had this problem saying I was really smart. I really was smart. And I was really, really nice. But now I had a feeling that teachers passing me because, which was all white teachers, did they pass me because of my color, or did they pass me because of who I was? And I fought with that all of my life and everything. And I'm saying to you, even as I got older and becoming in high school and things like that, and college, and even starting having children, I got to the point of saying that, like, man, why do black people always think that if you successful, you got to have, if you got good hair, pretty eyes, that was the thing, pretty eyes, and other things that made you different. If you was like
lyrical things.
Yes, that's what it bugged me. You set that garage back, right? Mm-hmm. Right. So that would bug me with that, like, it's never been me. It's never been about me. It's been about because of skin color, and then that went through that said loud, I'm black and I'm proud of son, so I had to get a natural. But back to my mama, when I say that she took care of us, paid tuition, got a few, didn't even have food stamps at the time frame. We was on welfare. We didn't know we was on welfare. I just want to say, those are the earlier years of our lives, and, with Monica and all of that. And I love, when we go down south, Philip, Kelvin, and I slept in the same bed. And Grandma Berg was one of those kind that believed only in family. She believed that, they liked to, grandmothers actually loved the boys and what girls supposed to wait on if they got granddaughters or something like that. And that's how she really did treat them, that, we was all, the girls had to wait on us hand and feet, my two sisters or so. And those are just the beginning stages. But the most important thing, we were taught to be respectful. We knew how to say yes, ma'am, and no, ma'am. And that goes far in life. We didn't, I learned how to cuss later on thanks to your grandma Cookie or something.
Yeah, you gotta tell that whole story, how you met my grandma Cookie. Yeah. I never met her. You gonna have to tell that whole story.
Yeah, that's a story. Well, I was like, again.
So so now you just told us from basically your childhood lifestyle, and your middle school, college, all of that. You said a little bit of, right. So, well, kind of give us, like, okay, because you kind of said it a little bit, but we kind of go more in detail about some of the experiences that you had when, through your life, as in, like, your color, and what you had to go through. Like, you gave some, but get them a little bit more about, like, explaining it. Like, I ain't experienced what you experienced. So, like, I know it wasn't just your family. I know it was other people around that you did have some experience, and you thought twice or thought about, like you said, is it because of my color or is it because you like my work effort?
It was because of my color.
Each time, all the time?
Most of the time. Except for when I had to stand up for myself. And the reason I can say that is, like, even throughout high school, I always had the chance. I thought about I wanted to be a priest. We were blessed. We didn't have no father in the house, and no offense to my father, but we had a priest when we was in 7th or 8th grade, called Father Richard Wheatley. And Father Richard Wheatley took each of us to Benton Harbor, Michigan. And this is what Holy Angels, going to a Catholic school, really had, not just for me, but for so many others. It opened up things. Each week, once a week, Mama would sacrifice $3, or every other week sacrifice $3 or so to send us to somebody called Mr. Christian. We got a chance to go to Brookfield Zoo. We got a chance to go to the opera. We got a chance to go to museums, all of those things.
Through the Catholic school?
Yeah, well, so this guy, my mother sacrificed with little money she received, and she worked at Holy Angels.
And seeing all that kind of put you on a different perspective of how life is?
Yes. Yeah, we were blessed to see so much in life from Holy Angels. At that time, Holy Angels was probably the number one school with over 1,000 students that was there. It went from kindergarten to 8th grade. And we can sit there and say that we got exposed, and not just me, but other Catholics in general got exposed to, culture.
Life.
Yeah, really culture, really other cultural experiences rather than just what was going on. And we also grew up with the Blackstone Rangers at that time, too. They was the prominent gang. They came from Blackstone, Jeff Ford, and later on, they had the Ford and things like that, but in the beginning. But we were sheltered during that time. Then I went to a Catholic high school. I thought I wanted to be a priest. So let us get into this part. I thought I wanted to be a priest.
This after college and everything?
Oh, this high school.
Oh, this high school?
Oh, my God. 8th grade. I left 8th grade, and because of Father Wheatley, I wanted to become a priest, and he came over there and he taught for a while. And I went to as I got older, I got to saying I want to be a priest. And then what happened was I found something else changed my mind at 18. So just in case y'all just don't know these things, I was a late bloomer. Folks sit back and talk about they get a piece or something like that, or they got this girlfriend. Not me. I ain't have no girlfriend. I didn't even have a rap. That's the other thing. Okay, so you light, you got funny eyes, you got all these other things and stuff going for you, and you're clueless. I was clueless. I just wanted to come ahead and play ball, football, baseball, and then we moved to the projects. I'll never forget us moving to the projects. I was 16 years of age. The day after my birthday, we moved to Madden Park Home. I'm like, oh my God, we moving to a project, and you done heard what projects do. Within 1 year's time, we was out of control. Just so you know. Philip Kelvin and me, out of control.
This is a different freestyle. Y'all felt free.
Projects. We love the projects. This is how good the projects was to us. We be sitting in the hallway. By this time, I'm drinking Wild Irish Rose. My favorite kind of drink.
Do they still got those?
Yes, man. In the brick. Some people drink the brick or something like that. Wild Irish Rose graduated me through college. I want to sit back and say in the end. But we just in high school. So we done moved to the projects in that first year, 16 years of age. We started learning new people. It was a second family to move in Madden Park Homes or something. And we enjoyed, we started meeting folks, and now we have been exposed from 602 East Oakwood in front of the church and doing being altar boys and choir boys and all those things. We moved into another system. All right, baby, take care. All right. we moved into.
Taylor,
Tell them to cut the fan.
I need that fan off.
They got turn it inside. So we moved into this phase of now girls is around.
You stop.
It's a development project, and just for folks who don't understand what is a project, it's an ideal that hasn't come into fruition as of yet. So Philip and Kelvin, they wasn't no joke. Kelvin was a playboy all along, even in grammar
He
school.
was waiting
Uncle
on that
Kelvin
time.
was just there. Philip, he ended up having Pat. I ain't have no girlfriend. I was just hanging out with Jim, who at 18 got a car. He had his car. I'm 18 or 17, going on 18, getting ready to graduate from high school. And so it was like I ran across this woman who was a neighbor with. She had one daughter, lived across the hall, and her name was Georgia, but everybody called her Cookie or something
Oh, that's
like
my grandma?
that. Yes.
My grandma was your first.
Okay.
Okay, go ahead, girl. That just blew me like, wow. I never heard this story, y'all. I never did.
Okay, so let me just go on ahead and just say that, we didn't know. She always looked down at me as I was coming out. I was like really popular in 3855 South Ellis or so, 18, thinking I'm a jock and hanging out with, folks. And because of your personality, when you're nice to people, people be nice to you. So again, even with her, she looked down on me. I didn't like her. She didn't like me. That's what I figured and everything. Just like in my senior year of high school. And so I ended up, I don't know what happened. I would speak to little Antoinette. Hey, Antoinette, how you doing? And everybody speaking and stuff like that. Yeah, Antoinette, Kenya's little mama. And so eventually, I don't know what happened. One day she ended up saying something and I said something back. And so we started laughing. And I told her I was in senior in high school. And so by that time, I didn't have no prom date. I was getting ready to go. We started talking, just talking in general. Just
have a little conversation.
Yeah, right. Don't think that I wasn't thinking. Like, dang, gone, wouldn't that be
if I get a chance, I'm in. Well, I'm in.
She older than me, too. Like, man, oh, man. But, I ain't never had no experience or anything. So I went on ahead and went to a prom. Didn't have no prom. Week before prom, I asked my mama, can I go on the prom? She said, yeah, you can go. This like, what, I can go? Man, okay, I'm all excited about prom. Oh, by the way, you ain't got no date. So I ended up going with Sharon, a freshman or so like that. So let me tell you, proms ain't out. For my prom was different. We was downtown Chicago at the Pitt Congress Hotel. I'm trying to remember what side I'm supposed to walk on because the man's supposed to walk on the outside. And the most important thing about my prom, Shaka Khan, Rufus was the name of the group. She played at our prom or something like that. Yes. I was 18 years of age. She played at our prom.
That's at the beginning of Shaka Khan, wasn't it?
Yes, before she made her first major song, before Rufus came on out, Tell Me Something Good. You remember? I remember how that went. So we all there. Then we went over to somebody's house. We drinking. I was drunk. I went to sleep on my date, brought her on in, and a Cookie was sitting out in the hallway waiting for me to come back from my prom or something like that. I was like, okay. And we ended up talking, and I want to just say, I remember, so I went to visit some colleges, and I came on back I came back from visiting colleges, and I went over to her house, hey, how you doing, and all of that. And she took advantage of me.
Fuck her, nigga. You lucky my grandma not here for we get her side, man. You lucky. I wish I could get her side. My mama them go on her side.
Anyway, all I know is that was my first and everything.
Come on, took advantage of him. he lying. This I'm gonna say he lying because for one, he just said he already had the idea of thinking about it because she older. He was waiting on that time. Nah, bro, that didn't take advantage of you. You was ready for that.
Again, I didn't know a whole lot at that time. Philip and Kelvin and I used to read the nasty books and things like that. So that's
they had internet back then.
No, we didn't have nothing like that. We just had books, so we had to read. So what happened was, once I did, I was like, Lord, because I went to, over the summer, I actually went to Precious Blood, a Catholic church, for where you starting your priesthood and seeing how that worked. And I remember telling the Lord, I say, Lord, I really do love you, but I got to serve you another way. So he didn't make no hesitation. I started having children.
Oh, my granddad funny. He just said, Lord, I love you. But I'm going to have to serve you another way. You can't. That's one rule you shouldn't have made.
So while I was away at college that first year, I used to call Cookie on the phone. We'd be there till 1 o'clock. Folks be all mad at me, all the white boys. Like, damn, Ken, when you going to get off the phone? When you going to get the phone? Like,
I'm like, don't get mad because you don't got no older woman talking to you.
So she allowed me. Then Philip and Kelvin would come over. And so, I guess that solidified our relationship. And then I know she ended up having a miscarriage the first time. And then after that, Kenneth, I left that school, went to Malcolm X, and because I got kicked out of Niles where I was going. The first year I had a D average, so I went to Malcolm X.
You weren't trying, was you, Granddad?
I was just having too much fun.
I knew it.
Right. You don't have college wasn't on my mind. I mean, I wanted to go to college, but it wasn't on my mind.
He said, I got a little piece of tail.
Please.
They should have did this to me.
Right. And so I remember some of the seniors, one that became a priest, had to beat my butt because I wasn't studying and all of that or something. But after that, that first year of college, I ended up going to Malcolm X, and then I like a 3.8, 3.9 student or something like that. I was like, the difference between Catholic school and public schools was enormous. And after that, I started, I'm trying to see, Kenneth was born, just moving on. Regina was born, and your mama was getting ready to be born.
Mama the fourth?
Third. Well, the fourth, yeah, because Antoinette, Kenneth.
Your third,
Regina, but but still, right. Aisha was the fourth child. So let's tell about your mama since you need to know. Well, Regina, with each one.
Talk about each one.
Yeah, each one. First of all, with
Kenneth,
Uncle Kenneth.
Yeah. I love Uncle Kenneth. Y'all, he actually in one of my motivation videos. It ain't out yet, but y'all gonna see my uncle.
Right. Uncle Kenneth was, Kenneth was just my firstborn, so he had to be named Kenneth. So Little Kenneth, they called him Little Kenneth or so. So we all excited about Kenneth being born, and I'm like, wow, I'm studying. I was working at the University of Chicago, University of Illinois, Chicago in the library or so. And they called and said, Kenneth was about to be born. I said, oh my God, I can't get there in time. We rushed on over there trying to get on home, and there he was. And then Cookie didn't believe. I'm saying this to all young men. Y'all pay close attention to this. They tell you wait 6 weeks. It's a reason. We didn't wait 6 weeks. About 4 weeks on down, I guess when the bleeding
You said you healed a little bit?
Right.
You good? I'll get it going.
So
6 weeks, y'all. Wait. Don't be
that.
patient.
Right.
Otherwise, you're going to be like my granddad.
Because then within 10 months later, Regina was born. Simple as that. And I'm like, damn, I'm talking to Tim, like, man, I got a second baby. What am I going to do? And I was like, oh my God. And before I could turn around, I decided I ran across a guy named Ken Tyler, lived across the street. He said, Kenneth, you got to get out of here. So I ended up going to Luther College in Decorah, Iowa. We call it Detour, Iowa.
My granddad all around states, all around.
Remember when I say generational, things are generational. What I went on ahead and I said, okay, I'm going to Luther College in Decorah, Iowa. And Aisha, she was pregnant again, like, man, 74. 75. And now we 76. December 2nd, your mama was born. I mean, don't get me wrong. I don't want to make no mistakes. August 1st, Kenneth was born, 1974. June 23rd, Regina was born, 1975. Regina was born on my father's birthday and my great-grandmama's birthday. So there go Aisha. We sitting up there.
That's my mom.
I come home.
Hey, mama.
Aisha, she comes over there. And we didn't know. They said, Cookie said her water bust. And I actually saw the water bust.
This my mama?
Yeah.
She didn't know she was pregnant with my mom?
No.
Oh, she didn't know she was about to.
I'm saying her water bust. Your grandma's water just bust. And we up here panicking. I'm saying, well, Shirley, our close friend Shirley and Larry, said, what should we do? So we trying to boil water and all of this kind of stuff. That's what we doing. Larry just picked up Cookie and took her downstairs, put her in the car, and drove to the hospital. And by the time I got to the hospital, this is what they said. You're the daddy? I said, yes, I am. You just had a pink baby.
A pink baby?
Like, what? Oh God, Lord have mercy.
My mama was a pink baby.
She was pink. That's what they told us. And so, not only that, Cookie had, brothers and sisters too. That's important to say about her side of the family. Uncle Jimmy actually lived with us a lot.
I don't think I met.
You never met
I don't
Uncle
met
Jimmy. None of them. No, you ain't really met none of them. And I want to be clear, Jimmy, Cookie had like 6 or 7 children. And, we was really close. I mean, just babies. And that's what I want to say. Be careful about just having babies and all of that. So that just brought us closer. And then the next thing we turned around, I was at Luther College and I come home. I had to leave college. 12 hours sat out there waiting on the bus to come because it wasn't no bus when Kwame was born, September 13th. And I got there. She was in the hospital long enough to say, hey, how you doing? Stayed overnight. And then I was back on the way back to school because we was voting on our Black Student Union or something like that. And then after that, Keith being born, he ended up, she closed the legs up on him. And he turned blue or something like that. So there we were. So Cookie was the kind that had all this. Kenneth, Regina, Aisha, Kwame, Keith. And they all knew that at that time when they said that, everybody had to rush on into the house. And, Cookie was, your grandma was really one of those gave everything. But it was times when I would come home from work. I worked over at Parkway Community House. So I was blessed to be able to, as they were getting older, taking them to community center, and then they got a chance to go to camping and all of that. PVOC, asked them about that and everything. All of them went to camping with me. I would take everybody. Keith wasn't born at that time, but the first 4. And I would take them to South Shore Country Club. We just went places. Because of my job, I was able to get them to go wherever I went to. So Cookie would always sit back and say, I'm going to die on your ass one day. I was like, you done lost your living
people don't
ass
understand
mind.
how much words mean a lot.
Yeah.
I wish she never told you that.
Well, it didn't. But she said it more than one time. I never took it for real. And then, our ups and downs. But I remember folks sitting there and saying, like, the 4th floor. I get off the bus at 39th and Cottage Grove. And Ron Carter and somebody else meet me and said, Kenneth, the 4th floor just done went ballistics today. That they done drank and they acting a fool. I'll go across the street, buy me a pint of Wild Irish Rose so I could be there. And I'm serious. It was like just seeing things. So let's just talk about the project that we came out of. Everybody got their check at one time on the 1st of the month or so. So there you got everybody with money, meaning that they got their food stamps and they got some money. What happens is you got the niggas that ain't no good to come in, see their woman at that time frame, and, they have a good time. Children having a great time. They all happy because it's Mother's Day, as we would call it, or something like that, meaning that the restaurants was going to do really well, or people got all kinds of food because we had food stamps during that time frame. And I remember that it was just a great time, and we ended up just enjoying that whole atmosphere. We didn't even lock our doors, so some nigga walked in one day, and he shot up shot Uncle Jimmy in the arm. This was like when Kenneth and Regina and Aisha, I think Aisha was just born. I came home or something like that over the summertime. And let me tell you.
This when the project started getting crazy?
This is just one incident that happened. This nigga actually came and shot up in our house and stuff.
Did he have beef for Jimmy?
No, he just was trying to rob. We never had to lock our doors. This is one of them days that he came there and shot up in our house. And I learned something about me. All I'm going to say on that issue is they literally found this guy floating in the water in Lake Michigan. That's all I'm going to say on that issue.
I ain't going to add no more. I
want to also say that, that was during that kind of time frame. And we would be back and forth arguing or something like that. And I came home from my first year of college. And we all sitting at the table, getting ready to eat dinner. And somebody fired some firecrackers. And my heart went up into my mouth. I was almost shaking because I had been taken out of an environment where firecrackers and all of that. Everybody sat around the table. They eating like ain't nothing happened, and I'm sitting up here like almost shaking, had to put my hands down because it messed me up. No, what I'm saying is I got taken out of the environment. I went into an environment where no gunshots, no nothing ever existed, nothing. And then after leaving in December and coming home in May, and then June, we sitting at dinner table and somebody shot some fireworks. And that was the first time I recognized, oh my God, what do we honestly see here? What do we see? I don't want to take too much time, but that was my learning experience. And so we stayed in the projects until I started working for the Boy Scouts, cooking me help up and downs or something like that, up and down. And I ended up having another child.
Keith?
Nina.
Oh, Auntie Nina.
Auntie Nina, yeah.
This before my grandma passed away, or?
Oh yeah. This is what happened. She had went out there one time, I guess, and had somebody else. And I was the kind of guy that said, So I just had to sit back and think about it. I was vengeful. So I went out there and had a child.
Granddad, you had revenge hate. It was like that. It was like one of those moments where you couldn't even control. You was mad. It was more of a revenge type of thing.
I feel like I was fair. I was equally compensated after that. That's the best word of saying that. Like, I couldn't do nothing. That's probably the worst. And she hated that. She would always ask me, bring her over, because she wasn't no play toy neither. I don't want to make it like she was no play toy, because now, me and her used to fight. She the one that taught me how to cuss. I didn't know how to cuss till I ran across your grandma. Your grandma could cuss, and I learned how to cuss from her or something. So
she helped put that backbone in you.
Well, that's what they thought, that I was scared. Your mama and them, I asked your mama sometimes, thought I was scared of her. I wasn't never scared of her, because one day I had to, I never had, put my hands on no woman, because I didn't grow up there. I never saw nobody doing that. But I had to tell her one day, she ran up on me because she had been drinking. And she ran up on me, and I grabbed her by. I said, look at the size of me. Is it going now, or should I?
No, you good.
Okay.
He fixing it. You keep talking.
Oh, okay, yeah. I said, don't you see the size of me? I ain't no joke out here in these streets now. I ain't no gang banger, but I ain't no joke out here in the streets.
You know, pussy.
And I ended up saying, move on, stop it. Let me alone now. And then now she didn't want to let me alone. And I remember doing like that. And she flipped over the table. She hit the table into the stove or something like that. And, it made her sit back and think. And then we had some other things that went on, like, Kelvin, I was like supervisor for a summer program. And I ended up, at that time I learned how to smoke marijuana. Okay, I knew about marijuana.
That's why I'm a chief, because it started with my granddad.
Yes, y'all all got that legally. And I need to go back even before, sometimes I have to regress to catch up. I went away. We were smoking marijuana before I graduated from high school. We'd be in the hallway and everything, smoking and drinking or so. And so when I went away to college, Luther College, so this would still be after Aisha was born. I remember there getting at the college, and here we are, and these black guys sold me something like $20 or so, and they had this envelope, and I was like, dang, these black folks. So white boys did sell and everything. I want to be clear. One day we went up there, they had hash or something like this. Guy had this big old thing. About 7 of us walked in this room or something, and son like, hey man,
what's this?
And they was going in there taking his shit, and he was scared. He didn't know what to do. And somebody guarded. By the way, at Luther College, I'll get back to grandma. But at Luther College, they had this big ass store called K&S. It's like a jewel-sized store. Black folks ain't got a whole bunch of money. I get a care package. My mom would give me $30 per month. And then a cookie would go ahead and let me bring some food back up there. One day you get drunk, and when you ain't got no lot of money at this school, I was eating sardines and pork and beans. It tastes so good and everything. But we go to pork.
Sardines and pork and beans?
Yeah, that was good that time. We go to Luther College. We went to K&S. And while we at K&S, it's only 2 people working in the store. So we go up there, folks putting chicken I mean, can you imagine a chicken? I didn't see you putting steak in.
A live chicken
all
or a
that.
dead chicken?
It's packed up. Yeah,
the
dead.
packaging.
Yeah, but not chicken. We go up there and we got chicken and all this kind of stuff, and then we get up there, 4 or 5 of us, some of the guys from the Bahamas, Sammy and them. We get there and they would, we went up there and brought a candy bar and walked out with all this stuff. And I was never a thief till I got to Luther College.
You said they trying to let us steal.
They taught me how to steal. You get to a certain spot. Now I'm stealing that. Cigarettes, because I smoke. No one looks. I grabbed 4 or 5 packs of cigarettes. Only thing I didn't get was the liquor. But at 6:54, because of Wild Irish Rose, I rushed to the store because Iowa had a state-owned store. At 7 o'clock, it would close up. So at 7 o'clock, I get there like 4 or 5 minutes before, like huffing and puffing. And they said, I already got to sit up there. Half a gallon of Wild Irish Rose or something like that. And then we would have Club Ebony. But I'm just saying, I really started stealing. Ken Tyler, the same person.
See where my cousins got it from.
You ain't got to the good. I'm scared to put this on when I get with the Boy Scouts. Oh no!
Tell them everything right there.
Yeah, okay.
Don't hide it.
Well, at that time frame, back then, I learned then, and then they let me come home for one summer from Luther College. They put me in Walgreens, and I go to Walgreens, and it got so good that like I'm working in the liquor department. Why they put me in the liquor department? I can't say. And I'm up here in the liquor department, and I would call. Security. Tony, you coming on in here? Okay, here. All this stuff is set here. Security, escort him out the store. All kinds of bottles. I left Wild Irish Rose alone. I started drinking Chivas Regal. I started drinking cognac. I had a whole closet just full of stuff for that time. And what happened, sometimes I would see...
You had it ready for bootlegging.
For myself? Yeah, we had drinkers though. So let me say this one time I remember I would see women, I say, go on. They come up there and they say, here, when I go, I said, go on, take the bottle. Just cause you look good today or something like that. I didn't care because it was just their product or so. And so I also was taking money. When I didn't ring up something, I understood that this before they had cameras and stuff. So I rang up, and so I started losing count of how much money I was owed by the end of the day. So I just started taking stuff out. So they called me down probably after a month and a half of work, and I ain't have but 2 or 3 more weeks before I had to go back to school. And they called me down. They said, Kenneth, come. How can you be over 13 consecutive days? I was not short in my cash register. I was over because the paycheck didn't mean nothing. I just forgot how much money I had. I just be taking money out thinking...
They look like, I can't find this money. What is that?
No, it wasn't. No, it's the exact opposite. I was over. I had more money in the account than what the receipts added up to. I wasn't under. I was over. You understand what I mean?
Yeah, I'm getting, but so I'm saying that they still lost money though.
Yeah, of course they was. I mean, I'm stealing their money and everything else. I'm stealing. They ain't took no supplies, and so they called me in to meet with this black guy, and that's when I learned don't be trusting no nigga. I went on ahead and told him. I said, look, I don't never be stealing, but I said I asked for help. No one comes and helps us, and look what happened. They end up, some people just walk on out with stuff. So I don't know what to sit back and tell you what's going on. No help. And I told that to him, and I said, I learned that from the white guy who runs this department, Walgreens, downtown, State in Madison or so. So I that was a mess up that I never should have said that. And I got let go a week and a half, but I had so much money, it didn't make no difference by that time.
Did I hit y'all already?
And I'm saying to you, folks make a mistake putting me around money because I'm not the one. Even with bingo, I used to be doing bingo and stuff. You put me around bingo money and stuff, white folks be saying like, you guys, because you look like me, I'll be saying, you fool, I use my hoochie to the fullest. I can show you better than I can tell you. Make a mistake with me, you got the right one, so... Money ain't never been nothing bad. So we talk about camp. When I went to the Boy Scouts, I remember that year that I first started, and I had to sit there, and I'm like, man, I'm around all white people. Ain't nobody in this office except the secretary that looks like me and the registrar. I'm sorry, it's 2 black women that was there. And they went on ahead and they take me up to camp, and I be saying, wow, that's
let that plane go back.
helicopter. It must be leaving from the hospital or so.
All right.
Okay, so they would, sit there and I go and I'm learning the things and, trying to be good. I ran the scouting program in Gary, Indiana, and I was so proud to be there. And later on, I hurried up and moved too. Here we are, up at camp. And so they have Dad, Lad, Mom, and Me program where all these white folks come up there with their child and Mom and Me, mother with the child. And so after the first year or so, Frank, I'd be watching him. They just doing this. And I'm saying, like, man, they got a trading post. I ordered shirts for the family. And they let me start ordering things. So I ordered shirts. My your grandma, Hattie Mae, still had her shirts when she passed away from here. One day, they had like hundreds of shirts left. Hell, I passed them all out to Madden Park Home. Everybody had a shirt, a nice, expensive old shirt or something like that. So that's
to the people.
Yeah. That's how I felt. Give the people what the people want or something like that. So that's show where we were. So then I ended up taking over the Dad, Lad, Mom, and Me program. So ask them. And this is where I know thievery is bad in our family. Shit.
I ain't a thief, y'all. Don't think that I do
it. Don't get me wrong. No.
Don't put that out there. I don't want them thinking I'm a steal.
Okay. Well,
I ain't a thief now.
No, but I got some that is. Let me tell you. Don't get me started, Mika.
Don't snitch, Granddad.
Shit. Kevin.
Granddad, stop.
No, I ain't no shame. They know what I'm talking about. Yeah, they do.
Not the world.
Hey, here I'm running the program. So I go out there every week. I get the truck. I'm running the program. So I knew how to shop. We had been shopping all our lives. So I go out to Cub Food or wherever it was, buy the supplies. I stop at my house first because food was like washing powder, which you need up there. Cereal, things that you need. I only got stuff that we needed, and I saved them money anyway. So I would drop that off, my stuff, my goods on a weekly basis and stuff. And then I would go ahead up to camp, take, sometimes some of my children up there with me. Then we had the trading post. Trading post had like knives for $55 and stuff like that. And I'm up here saying, like, damn, they put me in charge. This
it sounds like you were just very resourceful.
Yes.
You made whatever came to you, made that opportunity work.
And that's
it wasn't thieving and none of that.
Oh, hell yes. It was thieving going on. Now, wait. It's my program. I got to account for money. So I'm already
taking... They might come back and try to get you.
No. No, I know, because this could be in the universe.
Yeah, you don't want to say that, Granddad. Y'all about to leave my granddad alone.
It don't make no difference. What can they do? It's gone.
Dad and they still running that program?
No, it's gone.
It don't even matter. It don't even matter. Okay, go ahead. Tell it all, Granddad.
So what happened was, I bring some of my children, cousins, and other folks up there. Why they going in the trading post stealing from me? You can't steal from me. You can't go in there. You're taking money. You're taking things and you're selling it, and you can't do that because that's messing up my profit level automatically. Again, my paycheck meant
I'm already doing. I don't need y'all doing it if I can calculate y'all
That's
stuff
right.
too.
That's what I'm trying to say. And so I had folks that really
One
was
at a time.
Right. No, they didn't care. They was like, they enjoying themselves and they be up there at camp. Then I told them about Red Mosley and all of that. I had to go.
I think it's gonna be another interview after this. We're gonna have to tell them about camping trips to Red Moses because y'all, it's so much my granddad gotta unfold.
Well, I'm thanking God. I ain't going nowhere. I promise to be around till some of my children might be dead before I am. I'm talking about being here a long time. I ain't trying to leave. So let me just say, leave up with camp. I was blessed to have that. I ran a fantastic program. I ended up having Eagle Scouts, and then they transferred me to Chicago, and I started a program with the Chicago Housing Authority. I was able to go ahead and put on kente cloth where they had a scarf and all of that, and we was up at camping. Again, we always had a lot of fun. The one thing I need to be clear about, like after Cookie passed, I come home one day and she had died. Simple as
that.
This
after the camp?
Yeah, this is after camp and all of that. This is like, this happened in 1994. I come home
Oh
from
my
work.
God, I was almost there.
Yeah.
3 years later, I was there.
Yeah, right. So what happened was they had all moved with me except Kenneth only was in Chicago. Regina, Aisha,
It's when you started staying in Gary?
Yeah, when I moved to Gary.
Over there, it was like
7th in Tennessee.
Yeah.
Right. What happened was, right, because you was, I ain't saying you was born there, but you lived there for
a little couple months.
Right. Not a couple of months.
A couple years. It didn't feel like because I was a baby.
Yeah, you was a baby. That's all. Right. Yeah.
So
Matter of fact,
really
Renaja was born after you was there and everything. And then the next one, who was it? Was Precious? Yeah. I thought y'all actually had moved on or something. But what I want to say is that we moved there, and the reason we moved there, I said, Cookie.
My grandma Cookie was in Gary?
Yeah. She had to move because they had the girls, they had stole the candy, and so they got a chance to go back. No one would tell me the truth or so, and I sent them back, and I didn't know Cookie was going to keep Regina and Aisha, who stayed, or something like that. I was like, whoa, I didn't mean to do that, but what I do know is we had to move out because Madden Park started being taken.
Chicago?
Yeah, I had already pretty much moved out. But then I started saying, I got to get my children out there because they were shooting. They at that time, the Disciples was taking over. And I remember them, shooting up and killing. Folks started getting killed. I was like, Cookie, I know they're in school, but we need to get them out. She said, I'm in agreement. They need to go. So they all came out there, enrolled them in the school system. Aisha asked them what they used to do. I used to give them $1 a day for their
I'm going to interview her too. She going to be on here. She going to tell me everything about you, granddad.
I used to give them $1 a day for their bus fare. And them niggas wasn't even, they didn't need no dollar. Their bus transportation was free. And then they was drinking on me and all of that. They started telling things. Yeah, high school.
Like
this
16,
when they was in high school.
16,
It was
yes. Y'all was bad, Mom.
Yeah, they ain't no joke. They know what they did, her and Regina both and everything. And then they ended up going, like I said, they went back. So now I got them, and I got Kenya, Keith.
You gotta let them know who Kenya is, because they didn't.
Kenya's my grandbaby. What happened was
they don't know that story.
Right. So please, thank you. What happened was Aunt Jeanette, the oldest daughter, had a baby. And I used to be freaking out. I said, damn, Cookie, I used to tell your ass. I said, I would tell you, you can't be allowing these little girls go out here. And I said, I won battles, but I lost the war because she ended up being pregnant when she was 14 or 15, just like her. Genes don't fall far, just like her mama, just like her mother. Same thing. She was 14 or 15 when she gave birth to Kenya. And then I recall me and her didn't get along. When I used to whoop ass, everybody got an ass whooping 2 times a year. This is how ass whoopings took place. All of them be lined up there. Everybody lined on up there, and everybody waiting on their turn. And I would go ahead and start with the oldest one, Antoinette first, beat her ass. Then Kenneth, I whoop his ass. And Regina always had shit to say. Regina always talking, and I would have to sit back and say, let me say this to you all. This is how life goes. I understand. You supposed to be making decisions. Granddaddy got choices too. I said, you all know you messed up. So now you put me in a position where I got to whoop that ass. That's what I got to do. So I beat their ass and all of that. Sometimes I'd be smoking. I had to take a break or something like that. And I had to break off for a while. And then
too many of them. It was...
Yeah, it was. And like I say, Gina always got worse. So I had to say, Gina, just don't say nothing else. Shut up. You causing my brain to work too hard. And then all the way on down to the line to Keith or something. Then, and they only got beat twice usually, unless something really bad happened. At the end of the school year and at the beginning of the new school year or something like that. That's how we looked at stuff.
You whooped them before they went to school and right when they got out.
Yeah.
Every year.
Yes.
And it was mandatory.
Well, it should be adding up. I be letting stuff go.
So you said it was just everything they kept doing within the years. You said, don't worry, that whooping coming.
That's right. So that's what it was. They knew that was going to happen. And then we ended up, come on, you ready to eat?
We almost done.
But you can go ahead. Yeah, come on by. Everybody else came on by, so you ain't in the way. Yeah.
Nigga say hey to grandma.
Right.
He finna be talking about you very soon.
Right.
He getting close to that time.
So then from there we ended up when she didn't move to Indiana right away, and I probably had a girlfriend that made her come to Indiana. Okay, just gonna be honest with you.
That's what made grandma.
Yeah. Yeah. Go ahead. Just not stop it. I'm sorry. And well, we didn't miss that part neither.
Somebody was calling grandma.
Yeah, that's all. So she ended up.
You still recording?
She ended up. Like I say, she moved to Gary after that. So I told her then. I ain't gonna tell this part. So that was.
You gotta tell it now, Granddad. You can't speak of it and then say you're not gonna say it.
My girlfriend ended up, I would always call or something like that. I say, hey, how you doing? Something like that. And, come over, it's all right. I come over or something like that. Fine and good. I messed around and one day Cookie was over and I knew the phone. I had unplugged the phone from upstairs, but I hear it ringing downstairs. And I went on ahead and said, man, I know who is probably calling. I probably have a good idea who's calling or so. And she, sure enough, I'm getting ready trying to get Cookie to go home or something. And it's some witch card there too, cornbread. I'm trying to get her to take Cookie back to Chicago or so. And as I'm getting ready to say, come on, Cookie, why is you Lala staying hanging around? Why are you hanging around? And then I saw the car pull up.
The other girl?
Yes.
What girl that got caught?
And so I never forget, Cookie went to the door and I went down to the hallway, to the basement. That's what I did. I ran to the basement. When I ran to the basement, I got to the point of...
This in Gary?
Yes. Yeah. We lived in summer. The house and I'm in the basement. All I could do was brush my teeth with with baking soda. I kept brushing my teeth over and over again. And so Cookie finally came to the steps and said, Kendall, your girlfriend is here. And I said, okay. I went upstairs politely, and as I was going up each step, I started telling myself, I said, wait a minute, this is my house. I said, her ass ain't moved out here with me, and you ain't had Alberta, you had no business coming to my house. Okay, that's what I said. I've never come being disrespectful to you. If I always called or something like that.
And
so
it was a peaceful handle?
No. Then they went I made both go to the living room, and it was a step that, you had walk up 2 steps from the dining room into the living room area. And I stood in the middle, and Cookie started going off. You sorry, so-and-so, and all of this right here. And I said, wait a minute. Your ass should have been out here. What did you think? What did you expect? What was going on? And Alberta said, well, so what? You told me you was done. I said, wait a minute. You had no right to come to my house. I said, I've never disrespected you and not called and found out was it okay. You had no right to come. Well, I've been calling. I said, I ain't into all that. I only stayed on the points I could win on. So we ended up going on, she drove, like I said, she drove off angry. I went on ahead and brought, I was taking Cookie home, and we was on the toll road, and she tried to kill us. She yelling at me, I'm yelling at her on 25th and Broadway, and then I said, we're getting on the toll road. I ain't gonna take this no more. I'm getting ready to take you home. And she start snatching at the wheel and everything. I mean, literally on the toll road or something like that. So I want to be very clear. Cookie was no joke. Or her cookie monsters that she would sit back and call. And what she cared about furniture wasn't nothing. I come home some days and all the furniture's gone. It's just how she felt that day. Like, shit, I'm sick of this shit and everything else. Gina got a lot of that in her and everything.
That's why she be doing all that moving and stuff and house and all that.
Yeah, this is legit.
I love my auntie. That's my rich auntie. I'm just going to say it like that.
That's Miss Ann. We always call. She always talk about your mama, and your mama was so much more smarter than her was. She thinks she was all of that Regina did, but no.
They gonna watch this.
I don't care. What they gonna do? What they gonna do? What they gonna do? Nothing.
That's how you felt.
Right. So about that time, like I said, I had my children, and we was consistently going down south. Everybody, once I got my own car,
because grandma never moved out of Mississippi.
No,
well,
grandma lived. She lived in Chicago, but when Grandma Bird got sick,
that's when she moved. Back.
Grandma Hattie got sick. She moved on back down south, and
she stayed.
She stayed, and she wanted to go ahead and do that because she worked with Alcoholics Anonymous or so. And then Philip, Kelvin, and me, we was alcoholics. So we all that came back out. That's why I'm saying so important from my grandfather. So like that, but our privilege was always going down south with them. Daddy James always had to buy the biggest fish, the biggest steak, the biggest roast. He just was all of them. And we grew up by us not having no father in the house. And I always tell you about Father Wheatley, who was in Chicago, but we had like 8 or 9 uncles who did everything with us or so like that. And we just grew up to be, the most important thing, respectful. That is so important. And see, the main thing I want to say, like you hearing me saying, just keep these little things in mind. Even though I went away to school, I always came back home. Even though I went here, I always came back home. Because I never was going to be prepared that I had children. And I did not leave like my friend Jim left his first girlfriend because I had too many too soon. I might have left if I had just had one.
Yeah, I probably would have been a deadbeat.
But yeah, but I didn't leave because I had so many. And then it got to a point where after Aisha was born, I got to just saying like, doggone. Sometimes I think I just looked at Cookie and she was pregnant. I'm serious. Then Kwame came along. And then Keith. And then I also want to be clear. We had 5 children in 7 years. And then the time that we didn't have none, she was still pregnant, but she just had a miscarriage. Let's just say that. Because I was Catholic, so I believed that rhythm. And that shit never worked. That really didn't work and everything. So I just ended up having children after child, after child, after child. And so afterwards, as we saying, we would go to, I'm not repeating. I used to take my children everywhere that I went. I would go ahead and get prepared for them to go to be at camp from wherever I work, Parkway Community House to that. So I was always around, my children was always around me. And so I moved out to Indiana. I got to the point where I just can't take Cookie no more. It's time for me to move. I work in Gary and just back and forth and everything. It got so bad when I moved to my own house, Cookie would come over and I would have to go home and stay with the kids. And seriously, I need a damn break. And see, we lived there. There was a furnished little 1-bedroom apartment or something like that. And so then as they started getting older, we moved to another level. And like I say, she eventually came out there, as I was saying, after that incident, she did move or something.
So she moved after that girlfriend incident?
After the girlfriend, she finally came on out there.
Nigga might finna take what I started.
and then, but that was like fairly close to the end and everything. So
when
I wanted to be clear. Yeah, when she came to Gary, I remember on Mother's Day, it was like the 8th or something. Then, she was in Chicago for that. And then she came on back home. And that day, the 16th, the following Monday or something like that, I remember me and her argued the night before time. We was just arguing, ain't thinking nothing. And I knew she was getting smaller, but I hadn't paid much attention to her. And the next day, the only thing, I was like, I don't even want to deal with this. So I ended up going to, I went to work that morning. The only thing I said to her was, excuse me, because she was in the washroom. I was in the washroom. I was trying to get ready. And I came on home that I remember I didn't even have nothing to do at work, but I just stayed so I didn't have to hear her mouth or anything, or her and me neither, and she didn't have to hear mine. And I saw some smoke, and I followed this smoke. And I'll never forget that, trying to find out. It was like, I guess, how not trees, but they got a fire and they got it, they controlling it or something like that. And I followed that for about 15, 20 extra minutes. When I came home, I saw Keith standing across the street, and he had been in an incident with somebody else right around the corner. So, and I remember looking at him, and then as I looked, they was all crying and all of that. As I pulled up, and right behind me, as I remember going in the interlator car, as we call it, not the not the ambulance or so, but another car had pulled up, and then the ambulance was coming. I went in there. She was laying on the floor. She was expired. Simple as that. That messed me up. And so I want to say this too. I didn't know what to do. She was gone. I went to the hospital, rode in the ambulance. I didn't even take my car. I don't know who, one of the children came on out there. And I'm sitting up here saying like, damn, you told me you was going to leave me and you literally left me. What am I going to do with all these kids? And so I remember, trying to plan the funeral. I remember going to the funeral home 2 or 3 days later. And I couldn't go back there. I just don't believe in funerals. I couldn't go back there and look at her. And Auntie Helena came over and, was doing the hair, picked out the dress and all those kinds of things. And I came home that evening and Kwame and Keith and Kenya and Antoinette was all downstairs in the basement. And I came in through the other entrance, and I remember them saying...
Wait, Grenade, you still skipping Antoinette, because Antoinette was already there.
Yeah, Antoinette was...
and
Antoinette.
About your child.
Okay, please forgive me.
It's okay. I got you. That's why I'm here.
And let me just... While you saying that, I'll come back to that part, but let me say what happened with Kenneth, with Antoinette. Antoinette didn't have no... Antoinette,
The daughter Antoinette or
the big Antoinette. First of all, big Antoinette. How did I forget that part?
It's because you was going with the story of
So with Antoinette,
Cookie.
Right. Cookie. By the way, Antoinette had.
So was that a year or two before?
5.
5 years.
Yeah, I want to think it was 5 years or 4. No, Antoinette would have been kindergarten and 3 years difference. I think it's 3 years difference in their age.
What happened? Go ahead, explain.
Yeah, what happened was after when I'm back at Antoinette, she got pregnant. I said I won battles, but I lost the war because she ended up being pregnant with Kenya, and then that guy Marvell didn't work out all that well or something, and. So, we was like, I just got to do better with her. I thought about those things with Big Antoinette or so. And so by that time, Cookie and me I'm trying to think, had I already went away to school or what, but we weren't really on the best of terms or something like that. And so I remember I came over there one night and wasn't feeling no pain and Cookie had said something. I said, you got the wrong one. I'm coming for your ass and everything. Ain't nobody going to stop me. And Tone, she had a new boyfriend, Antoinette's father. And I come running on in there, and I think he must have stabbed me with a knife in my shoulder. I never felt that. Huh?
Antoinette boyfriend?
Yeah. It didn't make no difference. Big Antoinette.
No, I know that little Antoinette.
Yeah, I snatched her by her neck and said, can't nobody stop me. And I think Antoinette had hit me in the head with a hammer, but it didn't matter. Then Uncle Kelvin came and said, come on, Kenneth, get out of here. So I ended up going to the hospital, but stayed overnight to sleep off the alcohol. But I had just one little mark or something like that. And I was like, oh, my God, I can't be doing this. And so then Antoinette, and then Cookie was drinking too much. I really want to say that, and just things like I said, it's the 4th floor, and so Antoinette got pregnant.
The second time, and this time it was like, oh my God, she was there, and Cookie called and said, Kenneth, they was on their way. She had went to the hospital with her, and the children had woke up. Kenneth and Regina was at Holy Angels, and she called and said, you need to, I don't know what to tell you. Get them out of school. And I had to go rush and get them out of school. She said, because Antoinette, I don't know if she's going to make it or something. I said, what is you talking about? And I rushed up to the school, got Kenneth and Regina out, and I brought them all to the hospital. And by the time I made it there, I remember them saying, Antoinette is gone. I was like, I freaked out. Like, no, she can't be gone. She can't be gone. And they could never stop the bleeding or something like that. So I didn't know what to do. So we went to the funeral and, This your oldest daughter?
The oldest daughter, my oldest daughter, yeah. And so back to with Aunt, so we decided we was going to name her Antoinette after her
My
mama.
cousin Antoinette,
So,
y'all gonna meet her. Y'all gonna meet her.
yeah, and so Antoinette, you know, I felt bad because she never got a chance to meet her mom or so. And then I remember Regina and them saying, you all let them get away with so much. And Marilyn tell her part on this too. I just felt bad for her because she never got a chance to see her mom. She never got a chance to see her mom or something like that. And so
And the daddy wasn't there either.
right. And so let's talk about that part. So what happened was, you know, when Cookie came out there, never recognizing, she would have me like the grandfather. So I would go to the school system and, you know, enroll them. And I was good to see that, like, why women always be at PTA meetings, and they treated me like a king because I was a guy and I went to PTA meeting or something, and I was like, women never get credit for what they go ahead and do.
Shout out all y'all.
Right. I'm just saying, right, really. You know, they don't get no credit. They just supposed to do that or something like that. And I remember getting that partner. So like I say, Antoinette, when their mama passed, baby Antoinette, yeah, when that happened, I used to love this record. She knew what I'm back to that day. That day I came in after really going there the third day, seeing her, you know, I just saw her from a distance. She was, you know, gone. And I cried all the way from Chicago on home. And I came in that place down there, and Antoinette, Kenya, Keith, and Kwame was all down there. And I walked on in, they didn't hear me. And I remember them saying, we getting ready to lose our grandfather too. Because he don't want to live. And that messed me up. I was like, man, oh man.
You were drinking a lot?
No, I wasn't, not during that time frame. But what they thought was, we done just lost our grandmama. And now we getting ready to lose our granddad. Because see, my children, I have never cried. I never cried at all. That was one of the things that they just didn't see. They saw me cry. Never, under no circumstance. I've never did that before them. Now I cry all the time. It ain't no big deal when I get a what you call.
You gotta let them emotions out. That ain't good to hold in.
Oh no. And so I just want to say that and even, you know, like when that happened, that put me in another position. I was saying, like I said again, like at the funeral, I was like, man, Cookie, you really done left me here. I got 4 babies here in my household, 4. The other ones back in Chicago, but they still my babies or something like that. And I remember that day, I didn't want to be there. I had a camping, you know, like our camp for us was there. And I left Chicago with my 4 babies. And I didn't want to be around them. And I went to camp. I remember that same night. And I remember one of my closest friends, Morris, I can't believe you actually came here. I said, but this is my family too. I just didn't want. Then somebody else died less than a month after Cookie had died. And
a friend?
Yeah, a friend of hers. Yeah, one of her friends and everything, who stood there holding me like I'm what you call them, all of that. But that didn't bother me. And so now I got to make plans of what am I going to do. Antoinette is in kindergarten, and she flunked kindergarten the first year because Cookie really was sick and everything too. So now I had to take on this thing of saying, I got to find out how can I get to school. So I worked for the Boy Scouts. So it was like every morning after they went off to school, Antoinette and I would go up to the council in Munster where I worked at. She would sit there, or if I had a meeting, she would just sit in the background. 12 o'clock, I would go ahead and get her in school. And so what happened was I had some affairs. You know, like, damn, okay, you done lost out. So I had more affairs than I had ever had in my life for a while. And I ain't talking about no whole bunch. Listen, I ain't had that many in my life, but I had some affairs that was actually going on. And slowly but surely, I started getting away from that because I found myself, I got these children. I got children.
That's because you just got hurt, so it's like you just going with the flow at that moment.
Yeah, that's all it was, just to prove that I was a man.
I'm still living, I'm still going.
Right.
You had a realization, like, bro, what I'm doing? I have all these kids. I got grandkids.
That's right. Right, yeah. At that time, had I had any grandchildren? No, this right before Gina was the first.
No,
Antoinette.
But y'all, I'm sorry, he feeling like them his kids.
I do.
But I understand because the situation of, but that is his first grandkids.
Right. And so
but you have to raise them like they was his kids.
You're so true. That's so true. And what happened was, even though Cookie died, God provided. I need to throw God in there because
Amen.
can you imagine that I have no they were not my flesh and blood children. And I'm able to go to the school system and everything that had to happen, I was able to be a part of their lives. Them first,
You good?
yeah, I'm getting her to school and, making arrangements. And now I got these kids in the house. So if I got a meeting to go to, they ended up having to go to the meeting with me. I had to end up making sure I had to cook for them. I had to make sure I had to make sure they had good clothing to wear. I had to do all those things. And slowly but surely, that thing about being a man faded on the way. So that I need this, I need that. Now, because I seriously got involved in my children, I was blessed to do that. And the one day that I found out that I didn't have no control, Antoinette had something go wrong with her health. And I went up to Chicago. That I left work and I came direct to Chicago. And I had brought her son and said, "Hey, baby, how you doing?" And all of that. They let me there. The next day, I brought her back. She said, "Well, I want McDonald's." So I said, "I bring her to McDonald's." And they told me I can't come in. That messed me up. They said, "You can't come in."
So I'm
not her father. I don't have no proof or anything else. So we had to get your mama to go ahead
and file for custody
of them or something like that. That's what happened. So
y'all don't understand these stories. Is not everything. It's just lining up for me because I experienced this. I lived through this, especially Kenya, Antoinette, my cousins. Y'all don't know of yet, but they didn't taught me so much. All of them. They kind of raised me too with my mama. So I know my mama raised them, and then they redid it with us.
Amen. And even when I would go down south, and the other thing I need to say, why you got a good mama, when Cookie died within 3 days, my mama came to Chicago, and she had to help me get through what I was going through or so like that. And just to give you an idea, she took all of her clothes out the house. I wasn't able to do those things and trying to go to work. And Antoinette, she was, like I say, 5 years of age, was a son. I'm never going to forget by Aretha Franklin. "You really, really hurt me this time. I'm never going to forget." And I would be standing there in the living room and start crying. And she would get up in my arms and, pat me. Then I would go to work. And so once slowly but surely, I would always, then on the day, it was right around Kenya's birthday in October, 26th, I get confused. On her birthday, we went down. First of all, we went down south and we was dropping mama back off. She had stayed from May all the way to Wichita. And that night, I cried all the way home.
From Mississippi to get back to
all the way. Because I was getting ready to be,
ain't that a day drive?
12 hours.
Almost.
Yeah. I mean, we stopped to eat.
You was in the car with the kids?
Yeah, in the van.
You just couldn't stop the tears.
I couldn't, no, because I'm saying, let me tell you why. It was really, we got back on Halloween day. Baby. I was sitting here saying, what am I going to do with these 4 children? I got children. What am I going to do? Now I ain't got no mama there to be in support or any of those kinds of things or so. And I just learned how to handle with my children. And then who came home first? Aisha came. Aisha came home, and, no big deal. And don't let Gina fool yourself. She wasn't that tough. Regina had to come on home for a while. That nigga that she had, I ain't never going to forget that nigga. That nigga going to put his hands on her. Now, all of them had to get up and go about themselves. He going to hit at her and everything. I came and said, "Come on, we get in your clothes," and everything. I said, "I said, stop." He up there, all upset, or whatever his name was. And she ended up moving to a shelter or something. And then Mama beat the shit out of Regina when she was grown and had 2 babies or something like that. Grandma didn't play now. I just want to be clear.
I know I got hit with a couple with a spoon on the nose.
Right.
I got hit with my grandma, boy. I already know you got.
And so
I couldn't imagine what she would have done to me in her younger days.
And then I want to be clear. One time I made the mistake of we was going down the four of them, because those was really the ones I was raising, and we went down south and we stopped in Rolling Fork, Mississippi, 7 miles where we went, and I was getting a video so they could see a video, and somebody said, and they heard Kenya and they said, "Well, granddaddy this, granddaddy that." It's like, wait a minute. You a granddaddy. This was my stupid ass words. I said, well, these are really like my step grandchildren or so like that.
Granddad, you can't say that.
I screwed up. Well, don't you
my
worry.
God.
I wasn't thinking, so I messed up. I went on ahead. We got in the car, and Kenya said, "So we stuck now, huh?" I was like,
you don't know
my God, what did I do?
I gotta go hug my cousin.
I just said it that one time.
I know, but you know how Kenya is. You know how that is.
So
that didn't implant it to them their whole lives.
No. After that, I proved to them.
But they're not gonna say it, but and part of them felt it.
Oh my God!
I know both of them.
Well, I told them I screwed up. I couldn't say
it's
nothing.
all right. They understand. When they hear your side of your story, they gonna understand you more because they gotta realize you was one person going through all of these different things going on at one time. Right. For you to do what you did, it's honor. It's a blessing. You're right. Because granted, you could have gave up. You could have gave them to the system. You could have did a lot of other stuff.
No, and that's what I want. See what Darian just said? I'm a father. I didn't have no damn children just to be having children and then think that I was going to go ahead and not take care of them. We owe a responsibility. I'm saying that and let me tell you, while I'm at that point, I'm proud of all of the men in my family. All the men in my family have taken a good cue. Kenneth takes care of his babies. I don't know how many he got, 7 or whatever it is. He takes care of his children. Kwame, 5, 6, 7 children. He takes care of his children.
You did them right.
I want to sit back and say, they took something that they didn't care about their children. Keith ain't got none, except Oprah. Okay.
That's a whole other story.
I just had to say that.
No, I'm happy
and then what I want to say is, then I move on down to you. What you doing? You taking care. What I'm saying is, no matter where they want to say, if you generational, we were raised right. We owe a responsibility. What my legacy will be in this world is that I can sit back and say, I must have done something right. Because the men in my family understood that they were responsible for taking care of their children. So whether I had anything to do with it or not, they understood that they are responsible. We don't just put a damn child in this world and then walk on off from their ass and everything else. Cookie and me had too many arguments and all of those kinds of things. But she told me, your ass ain't never really going nowhere. Because no matter how much you claim it's the kids, you love me too. Because I'm the one that had them. So I ain't never forgot those words. And I ain't got no problems with my daughters got me in more trouble. Your mama ain't got Regina with them smart ass mouth. And I never allowed nobody to call them no bitch. Never. I'd go to war for somebody to call them bitch, and they'd be out there starting up shit at school, all of this. And they called me out of my name. I'm ready to go whoop my mama and my auntie was some bullies. Yeah, this is what they did.
They bullied the boys.
Yeah, they didn't care, but they knew they wasn't going to mess because Big Red wasn't that kind of a joke or anything. So, but that's what they would do. And the only time they ever got called a bitch, my mama called him a bitch. So these bitches down here act like, I was like, whoa, you didn't just say that.
Grandma,
dang, but that was the only time I can remember. So that was just one word that was not in my vocabulary. I mean, when I'm not around no woman, even when they was in my house, Lucille and Mickey and the rest of them drinking and all that kind of stuff, sitting on my TV. They pissed me off one time. And I told them, like, get the fuck out my house. You don't sit on my, he just playing. I was like, look, bitches, get the fuck out my house and everything. Get the fuck out my house. And then the next day, you know what? They came back and I had no more defense. I did the worst thing I could possibly call a woman a bitch. And they went on ahead. The next day, they came back like it was just drunk, like nothing happened. So I lost that. That was another time I remember losing that. But taking care of my children was my primary responsibility. When Aisha moved on back from Michigan, I told you ain't got to worry about that nigga. Michigan, where your dad?
That wasn't my dad.
I'm sorry.
No, you're right. No, it's funny. I even say a little bit post the band. But that's another story for another day too.
Okay.
I didn't know that. No, I'm gonna have to because I'm gonna explain how I feel about my real father, my stepfather, and I don't know what he supposed to been. You know, it's three different things that happen for me in my life. I'm gonna explain that probably when I talk with my mama, because that's probably be the best person to actually have that conversation with and talk about all three of them to the point where that's a whole nother conversation.
Right.
But
I got you.
Yeah, my mama had something going on with somebody in Michigan to the point where my granddad, go ahead, finish your story, because I don't know exactly what happened.
Right. It's interesting that you say that, because Grandma Bird is the same one that said that my brother Kelvin wasn't a part of us, that he had a different daddy. So that pissed me off and everything. I said, Kelvin don't feel it. And Kelvin always felt like, he had a different daddy. And who said it? Grandma Bird said that. And Mama said, I asked Mama only one time in my life, I ever questioned it. I said, well, Mama, Grandma Bird said that that Kelvin has a different daddy. She said he don't. All of mine came from Red. I was like, okay, I left it alone. That's all I need here, just for you to know. That was my comment and all of that. And sometimes you still feel like he did. But Grandma Bird had no right to say no shit like that.
He looked exactly like only one actually looked like Regina. A little different. It'd be my granddad, because he the only one as the skin. Everybody else is straight light skin. Right. Straight brown and light skin. Right.
and I just say this one little thing right here. I never say no white blood was in my family. I tell them we come from Zimbabwe. It's North Africa. Whatever shit, I always say. I never had nobody actually, on my father's side, his granddaddy was white or something like that. So that just... And what I want to say is, when I constantly say about genes, do not fool yourself and don't think that genes don't play an important role. No, none of my children came out looking like me. But look what happened. Darion and Precious came out looking past the generation on down. It never goes far away. Just what you're saying. All of us looked alike and everything else. And actually, Regina looks more like her mama than any of the rest of them did. So my sister Regina, that's what I want to sit there and say. It's passed down. Genes are so important. If you got somebody crazy in the family, you need to know that shit. That somebody was crazy in your family, because guess what? It's going to come back. It'll prop itself back up in another generation or so. You need to know what's going on.
That's why I told them this is why I'm doing it, so I can understand why I'm the way I am, why I do what I do, why I think the way I think, because it's all because of my past. Believe it or not, y'all be hearing me sound so country. You see why my family wasn't originally from Mississippi.
We were. That's right. I'm proud of it. I ain't even know it was no other southern state but Mississippi. I was shocked to find out about Georgia and Florida and all that other stuff. I thought Mississippi the only state. But I do want to say, if we wrap up for today, it was passed on down to my own children. All of them. No matter whatever they did, the oldest.
You gotta go. You're not gonna mess out on not tell my grandma part. You ain't done yet, right?
Right. So I meant. Thank you.
You could tell them.
You.
This way we're gonna carry on, because you didn't carry it on from after you lost the. Let me go get the baby.
I hope he didn't fall. My mom
got you.
No, I got you. Right now. We back with the baby head. I gotta handle my duties, my responsibilities.
That's right.
But back to what we were saying, though, Granny. You left off with you let them know about the oldest daughter passing. And then you were talking about my grandma Cookie passing. Right. So after all of that, from how God helped you from there, and then what was the next step to the point where the story moved on?
Where the story goes from there is, like I'm saying, that Mississippi was going to go to all the time. Then I decided that I needed to join a church. I had a chance to join any church I wanted. All the rich churches in Gary, I all wanted to be a member at their church or so, because I ran the scouting program. And my children went to Allen Chapel, where I had some friends there. And they said, we like this church because we ain't got to dress up. We was never on time for church. So I need to say that everywhere. Y'all asses going to get up here and y'all going to church. Here, everybody going to church. And then your cousin Kevin moved in, for a while. And we was always at church, and I started doing things. So one of the things about church was like, everybody told me what everybody was doing. And I said, shit, well, Keith crazy. I'm saying, like, we're going to just say who we are. We ain't going to join no one clique or anything like that. We just all over. We just going to be all over the place. Let's tell what's bad about us right away. And so eventually, my children started, Kenya and Antoinette. Let me tell you about this thing. when Kenya started getting bumps or so, I didn't know what that meant. I'm saying like, damn, they going on the head. They must be growing on up and stuff. And so I go to the store and they said, well, you got to get her a training bra and all that kind of stuff. The hell is that? I had 2 other people used to come and break
And
their
they had
hair.
to go through this. Oh,
Right.
my God.
Yeah, oh, yeah, man. I messed on around and I go to this place to get her, and they said, you know, she getting more bumps on her and stuff like that. And they asked me something stupid like, well, what is her cuff? What do you mean what a cuff is? She got bumps. She like she got some bumps like right about this or so. So it started dawning on me like, damn, what am I gonna do when the monthly comes? What the shit? I ain't never had to deal with that kind of stuff. I ain't going out here buying no Kotexes and none of that kind of stuff. That's beyond who I am. I can't do that. So I started saying, dang gone. So they started saying these words. Marilyn. Auntie Marilyn be good to us and all of that. I ain't been more thought about Auntie Marilyn. Auntie Marilyn ain't thought about me because as far as they're concerned, at camping and stuff like that, I get a half a gallon of, what's my, that E and J.
Oh, no.
E and J.
E and J.
Oh, yes, half a gallon. We go camping and everything, and I set the count down. I wait, sleep in the car and get up the next on Sunday morning to make it back to church on time. And she thought that I'll let her tell her part of the story. But anyway, they started saying Auntie Marilyn. And so Auntie Marilyn ended up being like, dang, oh, she's really a good person or so. And then she had this sorry-ass nigga named JR. I remember us going to a party or something like that. And I mean, you know, she had long legs or something, so I paid attention. And she
was looking at you, bro.
Yeah, so I messed her. I remember her. We went camping. We was out camping when all them people died in Chicago from the heat that was 100 and some degrees. And all night long, we were sitting on up there. I'm tasting like I normally taste or something. And her feet got to see some mosquitoes bit her feet. So I rubbed her feet all night long. And I guess that meant something. You know, all night long I rubbed her feet or something like that.
The first time you tried to move?
I don't know.
You weren't trying, but you thought it just
I was just, her feet were sweet. Y'all was a good guy. See, this is what I want y'all to understand. We are really good, the fellas in our family, and I'm sure the girls are too.
No, I know.
We are really good guys. It's a reason. You need to know this is what I'm saying. Generational is passed down. We are good guys. So I rubbed the feet.
See, this for Tiffany. You can see I'm friendly, but I know how much to go. I don't
play. Let me be clear about. Let's talk about even that thing I said that one time for making a mistake. My wife wasn't with me. That was on her fault. But let me get clear about that too, since you brought that up. Look, I ain't got no time for. I don't want nothing else out here. Let me just say this for niggas, for my niggas. Listen, y'all. All my children is in one household except one. Now I'll get to the blended family, meaning Marilyn, who had 2 children and everything. All my children is in one household. I didn't want no outside child. At first, until Nina came on along, and I was thankful for Nina. I want to be clear that this is set. I was glad for Nina. Now, I can't be out there with this woman and that woman, because that creates difficulties. Let me tell you what about difficulty. I have a real close friend of mine that I graduated with. This nigga go on ahead, and you out here with your woman, and you don't understand that strange things can happen. This woman came to his house and told his wife, get the fuck out of here. This is my man and everything else. I don't need those kinds of problems. I'm happy with who I have. Yeah. I mean, it ain't.
One mess up is all you need.
Right. I'm going to just say this one thing. It's all the same color, fellas. Some might be able to do it a little better and all that kind of stuff, but it ain't worth it. You got to go ahead and weigh. You must weigh what is it worth the consequences of my actions. Always remember, consequences. Everything has consequences. It ain't worth trying to be out here. I don't need to know I'm a gigolo.
There's too much going on in the world. Too many diseases.
Go ahead. And what I want to say, if I'm in somebody's dream, bully for me. If I'm in your head and everything, but out here, I don't need to be out here, especially with all the children I have and grandchildren. So I just wanted to say that I ain't got time for that. We friendly, but I ain't out there. And and I don't want to be like. Let me just say, I don't want to be like Killer. You got baby here, baby here, baby here. I'm saying, Kwame, you got baby here, baby here, baby here. Even though you take care of them, that's just too much pressure. It was hard enough just trying to take care of Nina, who was on the other, who wasn't in the original 5 and everything. And then her mama, I let her mama make an excuse for her. It's talking about your house ain't safe. That was on me. And I fought myself to this day that I did not have the same relationship with Nina that I should have had with her because I allowed her mama saying that when she live in Chicago and she can't stay out here. Same thing I'm saying what happened with Regina. And she regretted that later on in life. That really hurt her that she wasn't in with the original 5 or something
But she
like
went
that.
to Holy Angels.
She went to Holy Angels, yes. And, and one thing, I wasn't no deadbeat there because I sent money
Hold on,
for her.
let that siren go back.
I sent money every month. She could never remember. If nothing else, her mother will always say, well, now he was faithful for that. He didn't send enough, but he sent money every month. He was clear that he was going to send money. Again, it ain't worth it. Like you just heard Daryl, it's diseases out here. I don't want nobody coming here destroying my happy home and then my children are traumatized and everything else. So that part of me just ain't there. And I would hope that that's saying good for others who just don't understand that. If you a playboy and you out there and you ain't married, but once you got children, then your whole, as far as I'm concerned, your life should be only concentrating on your children.
Yeah.
So back to Maryland one more time.
You said you rubbing the feet.
I was rubbing them feet and everything, doing that witchcraft. Then from there, it just led from one thing to another. And then even with her, I'll let her tell it, but she wasn't going to even give me none.
Where were you getting that?
Yeah, she was like one of those kind who sat there and...
Playing hard to get.
Yeah, talk about, but she said I was such a gentleman. And knowing like, dang God, I'm trying to get something right like everybody else. What was you thinking, girl? But I had to play the role. When you play the role, see, that's what I want to say, man. You just got to play the role and everything. You play the role, eventually it happens. And I'm a Barry Mac fan. It don't take long. Just let me get there. And I'm going to sleep. Y'all remember what I'm saying now. Y'all better listen to what Barry Mac said, the Kings of Comedy. You better get yours while you can. Because if you don't, you in bad shape. Yeah, okay? That's on you. So just throw that on out there. And now, again, and I got blessed. She started coming into my children's lives. They loved her that much more.
That's my grandma, y'all. That's my grandma.
Grandma, yeah, Marilyn.
That's the only grandma.
That's the only one you know. Right. So with Marilyn, she was different. She was just one of those that was really nice. And she had to get your mama and Regina straight one night. Regina and Isha, they figured they supposed to go everywhere that we went. This is us. We just family and everything else. And they said, where you going? I said, well, Marilyn, we going on out and everything. They said, well, how's you going out with them and you ain't taking us? And Marilyn jumped out there. You know what Marilyn said? Listen, y'all, it's going to be just you and your daddy that's going out tonight. Because, see, what's going to happen is you all going to go ahead and get older. You're going to go ahead and find your own. And then you're going to leave him and he ain't going to have nobody. It's enough for just going on ahead taking care of your children and everything else. So we became close and still for a while because of church issues. I didn't marry her right off the bat. And then God was kind of like punishing me because I lost my job. I had to live with your mama in a one-bedroom. With what's called? Well, what's Precious Daddy or something?
Oh, you talking when we stayed with
Yeah,
Elmo?
that one little Elmo. Yeah, that one time or so. And so it was like,
Hey, this is not your interview.
Right.
Stop that.
It was like, I think God's punishing me. I can't find a job. I'm educated. I'm all these kinds of things, and I can't find a job or anything else. So I ended up, Marilyn said, come and stay with me. I said, wait, you going to take a nigga ain't got a job or anything? Well, she saw potential in me. That's all I can sit back and say. I've always been blessed.
She stayed in this second house right here?
Yeah.
Y'all, this
We've
house
been together
I'm in.
for a long time. Yeah, we've been together. She moved here in 20. I ain't moved with her till about 2003.
Y'all, this house been, man, y'all about to buy the property. We got to own this.
We own this.
The whole.
Yes.
I say less. I'm learning today. I'm learning today.
What you thought?
I didn't know.
Yeah, this all.
I just realized y'all have been here
Yeah,
all my life. This is the only house my
This is the
grandparents
only house.
had.
Right. And so what I just say in this part of it, I was blessed to have Cookie, the mother of all my children. Then I got lucky again and got another blessing and had Marilyn, who didn't have to take none of my children on in.
Great
Took
kids,
all
any
of
of them.
my children and loved them just like they was her own. And I took care of her 2 children because I've been raising children. Corey got upset at me one time. Put that shit in there too.
Go ahead.
Upset that
That's because he felt like he was the man of the house.
the man in the house, right? And I had to get his ass
He was in
straight
a
one
teenage
night.
life-
Yeah,
teenage years.
early teen. I had to get his ass straight one day. He went on ahead. His mama, he had said something that upset her, and she on her way to work and everything. And I went on ahead and I snatched the butcher knife. I said, "Let me tell your motherfucking ass, son, it ain't but one king up in this motherfucker, and that's me. And it ain't but one queen up in here. It's your mama. Don't send your mama off no more, because I'll fuck you up. You don't like it? Go live with your grandma. Granny, go live with Granny." That's what I had to tell his ass and everything. We had to get shit straight right away that up in here. And then
Set them rules, them boundaries on both sides, from grandma's side and your side.
That's right, that's
them
right.
kids feel like they was already, the head honchos of their households, but hey.
not here. Nah, it's a new king. It's a new king on this here block and everything else. So I just sit back and just think that, and some things are so important. They didn't tell you about this and everything. I didn't find her in no nightclub. I actually found her in church, but that don't mean nothing. We do everything and enjoy each other's company. And I would take her every year. We was going to Mississippi till she told me we had to go to Disneyland one other time. We was stopping in Mississippi, but other things. And they constantly say these words: find you somebody who you can
love
be equally,
and enjoy,
right?
bro.
And it's called equally low, but love, that's the key thing. Love is the word, but it's also equally low. We get along very well and everything. One of the things we don't, I'm not trying to say we don't have difficulties. She argue, I argue, but I'm beyond some things. Let me tell you about arguing. It ain't worth it. In the long run, you're going to believe what you want to believe, and I'm going to believe what I want to believe. So I just stop. And for men, let me say this. The key thing, this is what you learn how to say. And you make sure everybody hear this. Whatever you say. That's all I say. I ain't into all this. I ain't got to prove no points no more. I'm sorry. Not whatever you say. Excuse me. Let's back this up. I didn't mean that.
Because I would love that.
No. This is what I want to say. What do you think? What do you think? Learn that right there, men. Men, learn how to say, well, what do you think?
Hey,
what's your
learn
opinion?
how to say that. What do you think?
Right, that's all. And once you do that creeps down stuff. Because I'm still going to do what I want to do. That's just where I'm at right now. Now, that's just on the immediate family and all of that. But then I started having grandchildren. My first grandchild, after, let me correct that. My third grandchild.
Hold on, Granddad. Pause this. Cause
Yeah. I just want to say then I was blessed because I started having a lot of grandchildren. I mean, like I said, Kenneth, I stopped counting. I think he got 7. Then right after that, Regina, she ended up having 2. Then Aisha ended up having 5. Then Kwame ended up having 5, 7. I ain't sure where they is or so. And then, was that it? Kwame?
You ain't count Kenya or Antoinette's.
Yo, they are. Those great grandchildren.
Wait, let me see.
Yeah.
You ain't count. You still. My mama had 5, but it's still 8 altogether.
Okay, 8.
It's 8 altogether. Then,
Well, then if that's the case, then Jesse, children's
Yeah, you
part,
gotta count,
that's 3 rows, so 5. It's 2 or 3 of them, and then 3 or 4 more. Might be 7 all total with her too. Then 6. I think it's
big
6.
family.
Yeah, what I'm saying is, and I'll stop on this one right here. Recap. I believe in recapping because that's what I learned in school. 2 things. I started with generational, and secondly, I started with genes, meaning that generational means the apple really don't fall too far from the tree. If you go ahead and you do right by your children, you pass it on down to the next generation and to the next generation, and you will always be fruitful and multiply. And always know what's going on in your family. If people got heart conditions, if people have diabetes or whatever it is, Always know if people crazy, you need to know that because someone, one of them generations is going to come on up, or one of them family members, or so down the line. Maybe not this generation, but it might be in the next generation.
Probably
that is stuff that
you see, he
happens.
already acting great.
Yeah, he just being a baby or so. And I'm just thankful for the opportunity. Next time I'll continue on with grandchildren, because grandchildren is a thing too. That I've been blessed to have so many. You don't know what it's like to go to your 50th high school class reunion. The folks sitting there saying, I said, I have 8 children. I have 24 grandchildren. I have 7 great-grandchildren. That's what I got. That's my legacy or so like that. And I plan on being, and that means that if I do this right, let me go ahead and start with the oldest is, first generation is me. Second generation would be my children. Third generation would be first generation is me. Second generation is my children. Third generation is my grandchildren. Fourth generation is my great-grandchildren. And I'm 68 years of age, and I have 4 generations. And the great things.
Y'all see one right here.
That's right. That's one of my. That's right. Right. He had such a buckety time over there at Auntie Regina's house. He didn't know what he was just doing. He just enjoyed himself. Yeah, that's what it is. Yeah, what that is. What that is.
Go ahead, Granny. Finish your closing remark.
My closing remarks is I'm blessed, highly favored, as y'all hear those things being said. But I can't tell you how proud I am of my children and my grandchildren and my great-grandchildren. And we just coming on out there. I teach my children these one thing. So all y'all grandchildren that hear this, when you become rich and famous, these are the words you say. I want to thank God first because God put me in a position to get there. Then I want to thank my parents for the sacrifices that they made. But now that I done got that out the way, let me tell you about my granddaddy. This is what he told me to make sure that I had something to say, and then y'all going to find out something good to say about your granddaddy or something like that. Okay, that's all. Thank you. I love you guys.
No problem. Thank you. Y'all, that's another... I'm not even sure what I might call this yet, because this is like me breaking down my heritage, me really getting to know my family on a different level. I said if I'm going to be interviewing, I feel like I really should be starting with them, even though I will be venturing out doing others as well. But now it's time for me to learn my family as well. So y'all going to get way more of this. My mom, my sister, a little bit of everybody. Probably even some of my friends. You never know who you might see on my show next. But just know we're about to break down our history. We about to understand our heritage. We're about to understand where we came from and where are we going to for future reference for him and so more others to come. Because if we don't start it, who will? So I'm going to leave y'all with that. Other than that, we out of here.
Well, all right. I ain't mad at that, boy.